Hey.
Hey.
What's up?
Not too much. Great to be here.
Yeah.
A lot of people.
Great to have you, man. It's been a really long time since we talked, about 6 hours. How have things changed?
A lot going on. Fun stuff. You want a Snapchat update?
Yeah, I do. The last time we talked, it was like 200 million snaps per day in June. What's up with that?
Yeah, we're seeing 350 million snaps sent every day now, which we're really excited about.
It's a big number.
Yeah, it's super cool. And last month we saw a 50% lift in daily installs on Android, so our Android base is picking up really nicely, starting to compete with the iPhone crew, which is really exciting.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about the demographic that uses it. For a long time, we've been, it's a teen app. It's all about the teens. But then there was like word that like parents were jumping on it. And we were actually talking backstage just a second ago about how an older group is using it. What's that looking like?
Yeah, I was just snapping my mom this morning. So, I think it's been really fun to see. We're growing across every demo. I see 30-year-olds using it in the airport and 16-year-olds using it in the mall, so it's cool.
Awesome. The ephemeral market in general, this idea of things that disappear and don't last forever on the internet. I mean, it's clearly working for you. You don't really, obviously. Do you think that other apps, other services, other social services are going to pick up on this? I mean, where do you see the market for just ephemeral content going?
Yeah, so I think the fundamental premise of Snapchat is that it's better and more fun if you delete everything except the things that are really important and you want to save. And currently the way that a lot of technologies work is that they save everything and then you delete the things that make you feel uncomfortable. And so I certainly think that more companies will be kind of interested in this philosophy of kind of letting things go, just because it makes you feel better, celebrates growth, but also saving those things that are important. So sure. Yeah. Well,
I mean, where will Snapchat go, right? Because you guys do the photo thing, and I can send like 40 characters in a snap?
Yeah, I mean, between 30 and 40, probably.
Something like that. You should know. But I mean, are you guys going to go into a different vertical, maybe just messages only, Snap Mail?
So we've been spending a lot of time this summer thinking a lot about the future of the product. We hired this great guy named Nathan Jurgensen. He's a sociologist. And we've really been thinking about exactly what we want to build. And Nathan, one of the reasons why we hired Nathan is that he created this term digital dualism, which explains a way of thinking about the online or digital and analog world, saying that they're kind of separate, right? And so traditionally a lot of product development in the technology sphere has tried to take experiences in the analog world, like our conversation, and bring them into the digital by creating something like video chat. But it turns out that video chat's kind of lame, right? Because the connection breaks up. It's like, are you frozen? I can't hear you. What'd you say? When you really could leverage all of these great aspects of the digital world, like Snapchat, where you don't have to set a time to talk to someone, and you never have to say goodbye. So we're kind of looking at a future where people acknowledge the hybridization of digital and analog, and appreciate and understand that they both affect each other, and products will be built in that vein. So that's where our thinking is.
What will they look like?
Oh man, if I told you, I'd have to kill you.
That would suck.
No, one of our latest kind of thinking exercises, so to speak, has been around the social media feed. And the feed, I think, was probably one of the biggest innovations in social media of late, and really kind of supercharged the growth of a lot of these companies. But the interesting thing about a feed is that the more content you consume, the more photos, videos you look at, the farther away in time you get from your friends. And so when you're going to a social media site to get caught up, like, hey, what's Jordan been up to? I want to start a conversation about today. You end up getting stuck back with Jordan a year ago. And that doesn't make you feel very good. So we've really been putting a lot of time into thinking about the feed.
The feed, interesting. Because you're one of the few social apps out there that doesn't have a feed, right? It's an inbox. Phone is ringing.
You're popular.
So popular. Got a snap. And so without a feed, I mean, the way that a lot of these companies are monetizing is with their feed. I mean, what does that mean? Does that mean you might introduce a feed, or does that mean you're going to go a different route with monetization?
Well, again, monetization, obviously a great topic, one we think a lot about because we are a business. We want to make money.
Really?
Yeah, contrary to popular belief. So the way that we think about monetization has changed substantially, actually, I would say, since kind of the last time we talked. And we've looked to a role model of ours, Tencent, which is a really, really big company in China. They make the vast majority of their revenue off of in-app transactions. And what's fascinating about that is when Tencent really, started, when they really had to make money, there wasn't really a huge brand advertising market. So they couldn't just say, here's this bucket of billions of dollars, I'm going to take 5% of it, we're going to be a big company. They had to build things that people wanted to buy. And I think that's a really kind of scary challenge, right? To sit in a board meeting and say, rather than taking 5% of these billions of dollars in display ads, we're going to make stuff that people want. And that's a question mark. And so I think we're fortunate to have really, really great long-term investors that believe in our ability to do that. And I think there'll be great innovation along those lines.
Yeah, because we already talked about a little bit a few months ago. I think you said in-app purchases were going to be the first move towards monetization. There's been a lot floating around about what that might look like, whether it's, maybe you can add length, maybe you can, type for, more than 33 characters. I mean, any hints there about what we might be buying from Snapchat? No
hints, unfortunately.
Stickers. It's going to be stickers, isn't it? Everybody loves stickers, man. I'm so sick of that. Okay, sexting.
Oh boy.
You and I have been sexting for a while. I really enjoyed it. It's out there. People are talking about it. The older groups especially they can't understand why young kids want to send messages that disappear, other than to be doing dirty things in those messages. I mean, you haven't really had an opportunity, I don't think, to stand up and be like, no, this is what's up. So I'm giving you your podium right now. What's the deal with sexting?
Well, I think every time I get this question, we have to remind people that Snapchat's not a great way to share photos that you want to keep safe or secret or highly secure, because the recipient can always take a screenshot. And it also turns out that people with a lot of money and time can hack into it or whatever, to betray your trust. So my message is really that we can't prevent people that are financially motivated with enough time and really want to betray your trust. We probably can't prevent that. So again, it's not a great way to send inappropriate photos.
I also think, and I'm just going to put this right in your mouth, you told me at one point.
Thank you.
You told me at one point that if you really wanted to sext, why would you want it to disappear in 10 seconds? You can't get anything done in 10 seconds, right?
And here I thought that was off the record.
Well, okay, competition, man. You like own the space. You own ephemeral messaging, but you're still competing for mind share in a certain group of people. Who do you consider your biggest competitor?
Gosh. Oh man. I think in general, we're going a totally different direction than traditional social media. So I'm not sure we view them as a direct competitor. I think if anything, we want to make sure that people still have those spaces to create and save really pretty photos or things they're really proud of. And I want to support the growth of those companies that like to do that. So I don't necessarily think that we're going head to head with anyone. I think we're kind of going a different direction.
What about Instagram? Because Instagram is like the hot thing right now. Like everybody loves it. There's 130 million monthly active users on the site, and it's the hot new thing. Do you guys consider them to be a competitor in any way?
Well, it's hard not to like something that makes you look pretty. Maybe in terms of you open your phone, which app are you going to choose? But I think Snapchat's a lot more about sharing in the moment, and Instagram's about saving really special experiences and making sure they look great. So I don't think they're products that are directly competitive. I think if anything, they complement each other.
Right. What about Facebook? Because Facebook is kind of the big mamma jamma in social and has been for a long time. Are you a user? I mean, what do you think about Facebook?
I think I have an account.
Think you have an account?
Active. Yeah.
That's not promising.
Well, I set up the we have like a Snapchat page or something, so I'm like the administrator. But my picture is of a fish.
Okay.
I really respect Mark. He's done an incredible job building that company and continues to. They've done some really, some great recent innovation, obviously, in mobile advertising that are showing that they're going to be around for a long time. So that's great for the industry, and we think it's great for us.
What about Poke? Poke was they clearly were copying you there, and they released a product and it was #1 for like a day and a half, and then and then it fell off the charts. And I really haven't heard anybody mention it. I don't think that they're developing or supporting it a whole lot. I haven't seen any updates. So, I mean, do you consider that a compliment?
Well, it's certainly scary when a giant enters, your space, and you're a small company. For us, it really showed that the Snapchat community is special. It was fun to, see all the Snapchatters like around the world literally being like, "Come on, man!" Like, and so that was great. We now talk about it as the greatest Christmas present we ever got.
That's cute. So Facebook built Poke. Is there a chance that they approached you for an acquisition before that?
No, we haven't received any formal acquisition offers.
No formal. Did you talk to them?
I've talked with Mark a few times, yeah.
A couple times? You're snapping with them?
No, unfortunately not.
Not sexting, just snapping. So your last funding round, you got 60 million. Can you tell us a little bit about that experience? Were you shopping around? Were people coming to you?
Yeah, that's a good question. We tend to build those relationships over long periods of time to make sure that our investors really, understand and support the vision of the company. So it's less of the pressures on get into the deal, whatever, and more of we really need to spend time with each other over the last year, a lot, for us to kind of bring you into our family. And to that effect, we feel very fortunate to have really outstanding, thoughtful investors involved with our company.
So 60 million is a big chunk of cash. I'm sure your server bill is out of this world. When are you do you need funding soon? I mean, what's that going to look like?
No, I think we're all right for a little while.
All right for a while? Are we going to see revenue before your next round? Is that something we can expect in the next
hard to
6
say,
months
but I hope so.
Okay, so about revenue, I have another question. We talked about in-app purchases, but what about native advertising? Because brands are chomping at the bit. I mean, they're already they're finding their own ways to get on. You know what I mean? The Taco Bell, I think, was the one that was like, follow us on Snapchat. We're going to send you snaps. I mean, are you going to give brands an opportunity to market through the app?
Yeah, in the future, we'd like to support their efforts. I'm not sure we're going to do it directly. I think, our team is really interested in supporting people who don't have a marketing team and a big voice, right? So upcoming artists, right? People who are trying to be actors, et cetera. That to us is a lot more exciting. Supporting people in our generation who don't have a social marketing team, because the social marketing teams are always going to be able to figure it out and make it happen. We've seen a lot of these companies take initiative, like Taco Bell, for example.
Right.
So they're not the ones that I necessarily see as needing a lot of help. I'd like to create a space where people who have lots of talent but not a ton of reach can get at an awesome and informed audience.
So you're saying you're going to help the little guy. What would that help look like?
I can't tell you that.
Man, it's like sending snaps up here. All right, so the lawsuit is happening. I'm sure you're not going to say a whole lot about it, but is there anything that's kind of come up? Because a lot of stuff is coming to the surface. Is there anything that's come up with all these court documents or anything that you're a little bit upset about that you don't want out there?
No, I mean, it would be inappropriate for me to comment on pending litigation.
Figured that was what you were going to say. Well, there's one thing that I did want to note about the lawsuit before we kind of cut away from it, is that there was this text that you sent to Reggie that said, I want to make sure you know that, you came up with disappearing text messages, and I want to give you credit for that. Do you wish that you had Snapchat then?
Well, I think the interesting thing about Snapchat is that when we were building it, we looked at a lot of competitors in the space, right? We looked at Tiger Text, and there was a company called Stealth Text, and they were really focused on sharing secrets, right? Sharing photos that would disappear because you wanted to cheat on your wife or something like that. And we really thought there was an opportunity to do something around self-expression. So, it's interesting to see, that idea explored in many different ways in the space. And I feel fortunate that Reggie shared that desire with me.
Okay. Snapchat Micro is the new app that's coming out for Galaxy Gear smartwatches. It's kind of your first foray off of the smartphone and onto a new kind of type of gadget. Are you guys excited about that? And why? Why a smartwatch? It doesn't really jive with Snapchat in my mind.
Yeah, so we think it totally does, because one of the key parts of our service is reducing that amount of time between seeing something that you really want to share and being able to share it. So maybe it takes me 7 seconds to get my phone out of my pocket, unlock it, open the app, and get into that experience. And we really found playing with the prototypes of the watch that it was really fun and easy to just be able to grab it on the watch and then take it. It'll just pop up on your phone. You can add a caption, send it, or you can send it straight from the watch. And there was a lot of delight around how, that was like 2 seconds instead of 7. And I think that's something we're going to continue to explore with a wide variety of products. Wearables are obviously, interesting. I think they're very popular, in vogue right now, and we definitely want to make sure that we're playing around with them.
What about a Google Glass app? Is that something that you guys might consider?
Oh, man. Not currently. No.
Maybe?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. That's interesting. So you'd go for the watch, but you wouldn't go for the headset. Why?
That's a great question. I think it may just be our team's feeling about that product. I think the glasses tend to feel a little more invasive. A lot of people talk about the feeling of wearing Google Glass and having technology melt away, but I don't think that acknowledges the experience of all the people standing around the person wearing the glasses, because you kind of feel like you have a gun pointed at you. And that doesn't fit into the Snapchat experience and certainly doesn't make Snapchatters feel comfortable. So that's not something we're willing to explore right now. I think one thing, and I was just kind of musing about this earlier, but it'd be interesting to see some of these products incorporate like a recording light, just so you knew. I think that would be fun to see. But.
Well, I mean, there's also a question of, even with the watch, right? Because Snapchat is already this thing that kind of has this ghost around it, if you will, right? Because there's all the sexting claims. People want to find something that might be wrong or dirty just because these messages are disappearing, and then you add the layer of you might not know when your photo's being taken, right? Is there any concern with that with the watch app?
I think there was some concern, but I think it was more in the vein of that being a playful experience, like a James Bond thing. But that may be due to the fact that we like to have faith in people, right? Like we think people are great. We think they want to be expressive and generally not mean. So maybe that's naive, but.
What about showing best friends? This is something we've talked about a little bit in the past, but people want an explanation. Why, when the content I'm sending is private, are you letting people know who I'm talking to?
I think that's a great question. We certainly get it all the time. When we first built Snapchat, there were a lot of questions around, hey, is this an app to cheat on my significant other, right? Pretty simply. And we really wanted to show people that signed up for the service that, no, hey, it was friends talking to other friends. And I think it's been helpful in doing that. We don't want to be a place for people to really share mean secrets. We're all about self-expression, about having fun, and communicating.
What about the so popular feature, right? So, because if you type in so popular, for you guys who don't know, if you type in so popular into a snap, so popular with a space or with no space, ... right? Then you'll get 5 best friends instead of 3 best friends. Is that just for the user's sake, so I feel good because I have 5 best friends now?
When we were using the application, we found that even the 3 best friends when we were sending out a message to our little group just wasn't enough. And so we started playing around with the idea of having 5, and some people like that. I personally do. So
you're one of my 5.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
I'm flattered. Thank you.
You got to snap me more so I can be one of your 5, and then I'll get all kinds of crazy snaps. What is your favorite app other than Snapchat? What app can you not go through a day without?
That's a great question. I love Tweetbot. I use Tweetbot. I run the Snapchat Twitter.
I know that.
And it's just indispensable for that. I really like Uber. UberX, less expensive.
We'll have to tell the Lyft guys back there.
Please don't. But it's a great example of one of those hybrid services, right? That it's acknowledging all of the power of the digital world and letting it interplay more with the analog. And I think that's a signal of kind of some of these bigger companies to come.
We talked a little bit about competition, but is there anyone in the space that you look at and you really want to learn from that is just doing things right and you kind of want to take some cues from them?
Well, I've been playing with this front-back app recently. I'm not sure if we're going to take cues from them, but I think it's really fun. And the way that they articulate the personalization of photos, right? It's not just a pretty sunset, it's also your silly face and your experience of that moment, I think is really exciting to me.
All right, well, it looks like we're just about out of time, but I really appreciate you being out here with me.
Thank you for having me. It was a lot of fun.
All right, cool. Thanks, guys.